Hey y'all, welcome to the Heart of the Podcast with MXTC. I'm Mel.
I'm George.
And I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
We have a special guest for you today. I'm going to let George introduce our special guest.
Cool. I feel special now for introducing this special guest. But yeah, today we have one of my favorite YouTubers. I'm not even going to call him a YouTuber, but just YouTubers. Ruxin34 or Ruxin or Rux. That's what I've been calling him recently. What's going on, buddy?
Not much. Thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited. I like that. I like that I had 3 different names. That's pretty clutch.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're going to start the way that we start with every guest. Ruxin, your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card and your favorite memory of Yu-Gi-Oh.
My favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card is the Millennium Shield from McDonald's Pack 1.
Oh, yes.
That. Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
I have a fake giant card in my room. So it's not real, unfortunately, because I don't think they ever made a real giant card for Millennium Shield, but I have one that looks like a real one. So it's pretty cool.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
That is a classy answer. I like
Is there more Millennium items in cards as cards? No, right?
Is there?
I don't think so. I think it was just the Millennium Shield.
Yeah, I can't think of any.
And it's not even in the show.
No, it's not in the show. I mean,
I don't.
It was in Duel. It was in season 1.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird card to like have been like the headline of the McDonald's. I don't know why they chose Cosmo Queen and Millennium Shield.
You got
like,
me.
It's weird, but at the time I thought they were awesome. So I guess
Cosmo Queen's cool. Yeah, love that card.
Honestly, that is a good answer. Good for you.
Yeah, that's the one I've kind of stuck with. Because like you get asked, I get asked all the time what my favorite card is. So I kind of just have I've had that answer for a long time, and it's because I pulled one back in the day when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it's like you just can't change that answer. You just got to stick with it at this point. Right. So Millennium Shield will always be number 1.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay, yeah. I like that. And then your favorite memory?
I guess the memory would probably be the same thing. Like when I actually pulled that one, because I have a terrible memory. So my time in Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day is all jumbled up and probably inaccurate for the most part. But I do remember pulling the shield. I don't remember if it was my first card or not, but I feel like it was. And I think that's kind of how I got into it. I got the little thing that told you the whole set. And I was like, oh, look at all these guys. They look sweet.
Right.
Because it was like a 30 card set or whatever. And I think that's where it all started, but I could be wrong about that. But I do know that I did pull the shield and it was one of my favorite cards, or it is my favorite card. But at that time, it was one of my favorite cards. And now it's become my favorite card.
Fair enough. Fair
enough.
That
is such a cool answer.
Yeah, no.
I feel like... No, go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
Do you feel like that card is like what sparked your peak?
Yeah. Well, my YouTube or my
your interest, just interesting cards in general, really.
I think it was because it was like, like you could look at the set and you saw there's like 2 ultra rares and I pulled one of them and I was like, and then of course like it has the hollow, it has the gold lettering, which when you're a kid you don't really know what's good, but then you're like, wait, this one looks different than these other ones.
Oh yeah.
Right.
The shiny card.
This seems important and it looks awesome. It also had 3,000. Unfortunately, it was on the defense, not the offense, but or the attack, I should say. But yeah, so when I pulled that, I was like, okay, I think I'm trying to piece together what really happened because I can't really remember. But I'm pretty sure what happened was I pulled that, and then I'm like, I want to find out more about this. And I know my friends were into it, so maybe I showed them, and they were like, yeah, you can get packs or whatever, and that's probably where it started.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Word. Yeah. I mean, we all, what's funny is all of us here are kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh old heads. We've been playing for a while, or at least interested. And I love answers, Ruxin, that are like yours, where they're related to when you were young, because for no reason at all, I just really like Tri-Horned Dragon. And the reason is because there was this shop when I was growing up, and I was coming home from school one day, and my mom, bless her soul, she was a nurse, so she was always so tired. She woke up at like 4:30 a.m., right? And one day I'm like, Mom, please, I just want to stop at the card store. And, 9 times out of 10, she was like, absolutely not. But this one day she was like, you know what? Fine. If it'll shut you up for at least a month, we'll go. And we went, and he had, I don't even know how to describe it. You know those machines where you put like 4 quarters in the bottom?
Yeah.
So he was like, look, the cards that come out are random, but the one he had on display was a secret rare Tri-Horned Dragon. And I was like, dude, this is the coolest thing in the whole world. And I never got a Trihorn Dragon, but just because I have a very clear memory of like
Yeah,
being fascinated
that
by
was
that
the
card.
that was the chase back then.
Yeah, and I was like, and I was like, this is it, dude. So if they ever retrain Trihorn Dragon, I probably won't play it, but we'll see. We'll see.
Elemental Hero Trihorn Dragon.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's definitely not a fan-made card or anything.
I looked it up real quick because for the time it was an LOB version. It's only $10. I might have to
You can
pick
get
one up.
Well, they are reprinting Legend of Blue Eyes soon, so maybe
They
that'll be
are.
your chance to pull one.
Oh, I am going to buy
Super excited
at
about
least 2 to 3 boxes of that for sure.
But
You have
not
a good
first
chance to
set.
get it then, because there's only like 2 secret rares in there. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was me with Serpent Knight Dragon, mainly because I think that's a really sweet name, and I thought the art was so cool.
the
And
art
then,
is good on that card.
Yeah.
I love it.
I
Oh,
love
that card has
I-
fantastic art. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
definitely one of those guys that got screwed a little bit, being 2350. Like you
Yeah.
can't even. I mean, it's just so bad. Like it's like Gaia the Fierce Knight. 2300. Like that guy was iconic in the show, but he's just awful. Like 2 tributes for 2300. Like that. You couldn't even play that in the first format ever. Like that's how
No.
bad he was.
Yeah.
He's weaker than Red Eyes, who's the worst of the protagonist stuff.
Well, okay, all right, hold on. First of all, how dare you? Second, even though you're right. Secondly, yeah, no, Serpent Knight Dragon is rad. I've heard that as what's it called? Our fan base typically has cards that they want to be retrained. Gate Guardian recently got the treatment, and I'm kind of interested. Serpent Knight Dragon has been requested a lot, actually. Honestly,
Love that card.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite cards to date, and even when I was younger, was Blackluster Soldier, the ritual monster. Just because I thought like wow, the artwork on this card is so cool. Like, and then when Yugi summoned him, I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then I was lucky enough to play in the in the chaos format, goat format, where Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning.
Mhm.
And I was like, this is the greatest card ever printed. And then when I came back around in 2019, I got to play with Blackluster Soldier, the Link monster. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Soldier of Chaos.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I was like, and I guess I'm glad that I was able to play different versions of my favorite card of the game. Yeah, so I think that's pretty cool.
I feel like BLS was like the very beginning of like chaos cards.
it was.
Like you wanted to get light and dark in the graveyard. It's kind of cool that they're bring that back. It'd be cool to get another retrain of BLS, but like as an actual chaos monster.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I mean, BLS is one of those it's one of those eternal support archetypes with Yu-Gi-Oh. It'll always get things.
It's getting something new in an upcoming set.
Oh, absolutely.
Ruxin, we were talking earlier while we were just like chatting. Would you consider yourself more of a competitive player or a collector?
Definitely a collector. I really don't play a lot in terms of the meta. Every once in a while, I'll hop in and like try to figure out what the meta is and all that stuff. But ever since Tier Element and all that stuff, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna take this one off. So I haven't played at all since then. I'm definitely more of a collector in terms of like just opening up the new sets and collecting old cards and stuff like that. I definitely love Edison format though. It's kind of gotten popular recently, and anytime I can play that, it's so much fun. I used to think I was a Go format only guy, but then Edison happened, and I'm like, this is way better than Go format. This is awesome. And my favorite thing about old formats is you build the deck and you never have to change. I mean, there might be some changes, but you don't have to like completely haul your entire deck and like buy a whole new deck. Like maybe you change a couple of cards every once in a while when somebody figures out something cool, but you could basically build a deck, spend your money on it, and then it's just locked in. It's usable forever, basically. So it's nicer than having to like completely come up with a new deck. Like in the meta, it's like, oh, it's 1 week ago I bought this deck and now it's outdated.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Where did you? So have you? You mentioned the McDonald's promo. Have you stayed with Yu-Gi-Oh since then, or did you take a break? And then, if you did, what got you to come back?
Yeah, I took a massive break. I think so I got into it in 2002 because of the McDonald's stuff. So the first year in the United States, and I was really, really into it as a kid. I guess I was 7 in 2002. So I was pretty young, and then I was going to this one school, and everybody was into Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon at that point. I ended up moving schools to a different school, and almost no one was into Yu-Gi-Oh at that point. But this was later in 2005 or 2006, so a lot less people were into it, and it just kind of just faded away because like the couple people that were into it ended up leaving that school, so there was nobody that cared about it. So I just was I like don't know when I stopped, but I guess I just stopped at some point because there was nobody to play with. And it wasn't till 2017, the late 2017, I was in my master's program. And I didn't have a lot going on because I was like working half days and then doing that. But like the master's thing was like a couple classes per like semester or something. So I had a lot of extra time to like sit in my room, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of bored right now. Let me check the app store. And I found Duel Links. So Duel Links, I was like, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! I haven't thought about this in so long. So I got on it and I started, playing it and everything. And I was like, this is like really fun. So I actually started my YouTube channel about Duel Links, which it was awful back then. I was like recording duels in my car and stuff. It was ugly, but yeah, so I got into it from there, and then that kind of ended up being, I got into the collecting again on Instagram, and a bunch of people were on there in 2018, a little bit after that, and then that kind of started from there.
You said recording in your car?
Yes, I would record videos in my car. So I'd have my laptop, and then I would plug in like a headset for like an Xbox or something, and then I would like screen record my phone. So they were really bad, but yeah, that was how I started.
Are those videos around?
I was gonna say, are those on your channel?
My first one is I unlisted the rest. I haven't deleted them because it's like I don't want to ever delete something.
No,
Just it'll be fun to look back in like 30 years and be like, wow, this is hilarious that I was doing this. I made like 100 videos doing that. So
wow. Dedication.
Yeah, so I did a lot, but I unlisted all of them except the first one because I want to have the first one on there so at least, you can see where I came from or whatever.
Duel Links?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Duel Links.
Then I guess there's one question that I've been like dying to ask, and I feel like who else would know this besides you? I mean, like I feel like whenever the conversation comes up, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I have absolutely no idea. I know that some of the older sets are there's like wavy, glossy.
Yeah.
And like I feel like this is like a lot of the older stuff when I used to buy product like I think Magician's Force, Magic Ruler. I mean I could be wrong, like just the sets, but can you explain like what some of those definitions mean?
Yeah, so wavy and glossy is like it's just a card stock difference that they had, and it's only in Legend of Blue Eyes and the starter decks. So the first two, so Yugi and Kaiba, they had a wavy glossy difference. We really don't know a whole lot about it because there hasn't been an official statement by Upper Deck or Konami at the time. But basically, people used to think wavy was like the first printing, so they would try to separate them, kind of like first edition base set, like Shadowless and all that stuff they did with Pokemon. But there's no like obviously in that there's a first ed stamp on one, there's not on the other one. For this, it was like just speculation that oh yeah, this is wavy. This came first. Nobody knew why. They just said that, and we're pretty sure that was not true. Now people think glossy came first. So there's not a whole lot of like solid evidence on which came first, but they're basically just two different card stocks. Wavy, there's less of them. That's probably why people thought it was first. It just looks different than glossy. That's really the only difference. Then there's another big difference in the original sets, which is like the hobby retail stuff. And then like that's in GX, where's the main difference. But then in like the original sets, there was hobby and retail boxes. So like if you go to like Walmart, you get like a retail pack. If you were to get a box from there, if you went to like your hobby store, you'd get a hobby box. And the difference in the original sets was simply that you got a different secret rare. So like if you went to your hobby store for Legend of Blue Eyes, you'd get a Trihorn Dragon. You couldn't get Gaia. Yeah. Well, that's backwards. Trihorn Dragon came in the retail of that, and then Gaia the Dragon Champion came in the hobby. But the weird thing about that one was mixed up as well because they had like there's no wavy Gaia the Dragon Champions, which like was one of the big things about if it was first or not. Actually, I think there's one or something weird. So when you get to Legend of Blue Eyes, there's all kinds of weird things that happen. Metal Raiders is a little bit easier because you get Gate Guardian in the hobby box. you get 1,000 dragon in the retail box. So it's very simple. And then you go to Magic Ruler, and they have 36 pack boxes and 24 pack boxes. So then it gets a little weird there, because then the 36 is the retail. You get the Serpent Dragon. 24, you get the Blue Eyes Toon Dragon, and it's a hobby box. So there's a bunch of weird stuff like that. And then when you get to the GX era, when it's split in the ultimate rares, the hobby retail is actually a huge deal because that determines what kind of ultimate rares you can get. So if you get a hobby box, you could get a super or ultra rare as a ultimate rare. Like they always have those second versions or whatever in the same set. So like, let's say Elemental Hero Shining Flare Wingman, it's an ultra rare, and Elemental Energy. You can only get the ultimate rare version if you're opening a hobby box. In the retail boxes, you could only get the ultra rare. So opening a retail GX box, if you want to pull the right ultis, is just a horrible idea because you can only get rares as ultimate rares.
Interesting.
I didn't know literally any of that. That was, and can I just say, like, I think I speak for all of us when I say your knowledge of just like the way that cards are produced and collected, bar none. Like, I didn't know any of that. I didn't know any of that.
Wait, so are you saying that you in those sets you used to be able to go into like a retail store and buy a booster box, and that booster box would be completely, well, I guess the chase card would be different from one that you would get from, let's say, hobbies. I'm assuming like hobby it translates to like your locals.
Yeah, so theoretically, I mean, I'm sure there was some mix up. Like, I'm sure somehow Walmart ended up with like hobby stuff at some point, but the intention for the retail was to go to things like Walmart, Target, stuff like that. And then all those like repackaged stuff, whenever you see like a repackaged thing that, they sell in Target these days, they still do it. It's like there's sleeves in here, 5 extra cards, and then like 2 packs. That's probably mostly retail when you open that stuff up, because that probably went to the retail places. They sold, they got repackaged by some other guy. But the hobby stuff almost always ended up at the hobby stores, like the local game stores and stuff. So I guess they were doing the same kind of thing they were doing with Lost Ark. Like, oh yeah, if you want to get this cool old secret rare, make sure you go to your like locals or whatever. I don't know if they did that on purpose or not. I always thought it was really weird, and I really hated it for GX because it just makes some of the boxes a lot worse. Like, you really don't want to open a retail of anything almost, unless it's like really good rares in the set, which is pretty unusual. So most of the time it's like, if you have CRV retail versus CRV hobby, it's like the hobby box is like $4,000. The retail is like 1,000, because it's like, I can't get the big.
Okay, yeah.
I can't get the Cyber Dragon or the Cyber End Dragon Ultimate Rare. Like, and if I'm opening this expensive a box, I need there to be something big. It's like, well, I could pull a Bubble Man Ultimate Rare, which like is a good one, to be honest. But if that's the only good pull, it's kind of not worth opening.
Oh, for sure. Wow. This is a whole side of Yu-Gi-Oh that I didn't know that much about, to be honest with you.
Roxanne, I gotta ask, was this something that you found that you were passionate about, or is this something that as you started opening more on the collection side, you started looking into it and really getting invested in it?
So a lot of this info, I was from the Instagram community. So Instagram, when I joined in January 2018, a lot of those guys are hardcore collectors. So I didn't do all this research myself. I just followed a lot of those guys who've like talked about this stuff, and they were really passionate about collecting and like how you get certain cards. And I learned a lot from them. So now I've just it's been so many years of just seeing it, hearing it. It's like I've known this for multiple years now, and I can't forget it if I wanted to,
Right.
because like they've been obsessing over it. Because like a friend of mine that used to live in my area, like, was one of the main guys who, like, he would collect everything, he would research, and he ended up working with PSA and helping them with like some of their like stuff. Because back in just a couple of years ago, PSA didn't know a lot about Yu-Gi-Oh, and thanks to people like him helping them out, like they've had huge steps in terms of like understanding like certain card rarities and everything like that.
That's incredible. When you are deciding what sets to like go into or like decide to open, what are some of your thought processes that go with that? I think you mentioned while we were chatting, you were thinking about doing a particular series. What goes into like that process, both as a content creator and also as like a collector?
That's a good question. A lot of the time it just comes down to, if somebody has a collection to sell me, it's a sealed product. It's like, that helps. Like I buy it and then I have like, oh, I have all these packs now. What can I do that makes these packs more interesting? You know, how can I mix them up in a certain way? But then sometimes I will do I'll have ideas about specific sets I want to open, like that are older. So obviously with the newer stuff, it's just when the new stuff comes out, I open it up. But when the older stuff comes out, or not comes out, when the older stuff videos, for those, I'm just trying to try to think of a like an interesting video concept for an opening. Cause like an opening is kind of interesting in and of itself, you know, because you never know what's coming out.
Right.
But if you can add like a layer of more interest, like a reason to watch this opening versus another one, that's always good. But it can be difficult sometimes to like, okay, how do I open this set and it's like more interesting than like I opened a booster box of this set, you know? Because a lot of times just a booster box opening is not that interesting if it's just like a 2012 set, you know, some Zexel set or something. It's like that's kind of cool, but it's like it's just a box, you know. Like maybe we could do Zexel versus, you know, Arc V or something like that. I like to do those kind of versus things because, you know, you have like, you know, a battle going on, you know, you got the totals popping up on the screen and stuff. So I try to like it's just random ideas about it. Sometimes I'm laying there at night. I'm like, well, what can I do that would be interesting? And it's like, do I need to buy anything for this? Do I have the stuff already? And then I'm just like trying to get ahead and stuff.
Add a little spice to it. I see, I
Right.
see. Do you look at any OCG rarities? And like if you do, how do you think the OCG rarities compare to the TCG?
The rarities are cool. I really like the OCG stuff. And I'm glad that we've kind of brought over some of them so far. I mean, we're definitely behind in terms of what I really like that they do is they have sets with like multiple rarities that you could pull in there. It's like they would have like a Starlight and a collector rare and a secret rare and an ultra rare all in the same set. And they're like, so it's like you could pull any of these in this box. Like I really think that would be cool if we'd mix it up a little bit because like we used to do ghosts and ultis in the same set, which was awesome, and I would love if that happened again. But if we could do like maybe one with, I know we always do Starlights by themselves and collectors by themselves. We did one where they're in the same set, or like throw in ultimate rares, throw in ghost rares. You know, there's so many cool rarities that you can like mix together, and then it's just like multiple layers of like stuff you could pull, like value and like just stuff people would like want to actually keep when they open their box.
Right. Oh
That
man,
would yeah, that would be cool.
can you
Honestly.
imagine like a misprint rarity of like a set that has an ulti and a ghost rare and just have a ulti ghost rare card? That'd be so cool.
I mean, that kind of exists already with Chaos. I think it's Chaos Neos. It's a Chaos Neos card. I can't remember what it's called.
It's Chaos Neos and a Rainbow Dragon. It's a Chaos Neos with the word Rainbow Dragon at the top. It's a ghost rare.
Yeah, they have the tactical evolution version and the glass version of that misprint.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
That is really sweet. What would you say has been your favorite set that you've opened, both in person and also on stream, and the favorite card that you pulled? And it doesn't have to be from that set.
My favorite set in general is Metal Raiders. I think it's just the most nostalgic set because like LOB is nostalgic, but I think Metal Raiders beats it out because it has tons of commons that are nostalgic, tons of rares that are nostalgic. All the hollows are awesome. Like they have like the 3 gate guardian pieces as just regular supers, Karibo, Catapult Turtle. Like almost all of them are from the show, which is really cool if you like the show. And then the ultra rares are almost all awesome, and then you got like Horn of Heaven and Seven Tools, which like even those are like kind of nice. Like you don't want to pull those, but they're still like kind of classic. But everything else is just amazing. It's like Barrel Dragon, you got Solemn Judgment, Summon Skull, Beast Skull. You get to the secret rares, you got Gate Guardian, Thousand Dragon. Like they're all like really awesome like collector's cards. So I really like that set. So every time I've opened it, I've really loved it. It's been really fun to open. My best pull from that set, I've had some great luck with Metal Raiders besides the Gate Guardian. I've still never pulled a first ed one. And I've opened a lot of them. I mean, I've probably opened like 3 boxes at this point. But I have pulled Summon Skull a couple of times, Beast Skull a couple of times. So we've had great luck with that. I pulled Mirror Force, the most recent one we did. So I've had great luck with that set. I want to pull Gate Guardian at some point, but that's one of my best pulls. I usually do those like top pulls videos, but I haven't done like a best pulls of all time in a long time. I usually do it by the year. So I've had some good luck like with error openings, like where I pulled 2 IP Masquerade Starlight from the same case. That was a pretty nice one because like
That's great.
that's like one in 2 cases to pull any Starlight. It's
Right.
1 in 8 to pull the Masquerena, and then I pulled 2 in the same one. So I got
Nice.
it was an error, I think. So that was really cool. I've had some good ones. I really should update my all-time pulls and try to figure out what the best one is.
Yeah,
I
I feel
really-
like
I think I have like the reverse Ruxin luck. I'm like, if I get an error case, it would be like, well, you're an error. You got an error because you got no secrets. All
Well, yeah,
common.
I did open 2 grand creators with no collector rares, so I
Oh.
feel you on that
What?
end. That was pretty bad because that's a great set for collector rares, and I didn't pull any of
Yeah.
them. So 2 full cases without a collector rare was pretty rough.
Yeah,
Oh,
that is a
isn't that the
little rough.
set where they were clumping
Yes,
the
yeah.
CRs?
M. Cole got all of mine when he
Yeah,
pulled like 400
yeah.
of them or something.
Should have
Oh,
called him up. Be
yeah.
like, yo, you
Like,
got my
we love
stuff.
you some collector rares, man.
Wait, no, we opened a case of that. We didn't get
Yeah, we did.
really
Don't even
yeah,
start.
we got
Yes.
3, I think. I got right. I think Joseph got 1.
Yeah, I got
and-
the Exorcist of Michaelis.
Yeah.
You don't even play that deck.
Yes, I
I
do.
played it more than you.
Hmm.
Mad at you. It's fine. No,
Yeah,
it's
there was.
okay.
Yeah, I never get. I love opening packs. Like I live for it. Like I'm like the biggest sealed cook I think whoever lived. But I have the absolute worst luck in opening product.
No, Ruxin, you don't get it. Like
Yeah.
when he says he has the worst luck, like we will buy cases of like sets that we think are going to be big, and we'll say, "All right, George, you pick which pile you want." And he will pick the pile that he wants. Like we'll be like, "Listen, man, you've gotten boned a couple times. You pick the pile that you want. It's all good." And Mel will pull like God tier. I'll pull pretty good. Like we'll both go plus, and George will pull like I don't
The
know,
worst-
all commons somehow.
Like
And I'm
the
like,
worst
dude,
card
I
of the
like
set.
it's just and it is truly uncanny. And it's like I don't know. I think you might be a little cursed. Did you like anger the Konami gods at some point? Like what did you do?
I don't know, but it's pretty bad.
It's okay. I will
That just
keep
means you're
pulling
due,
sealed
man.
with you.
That's right.
Soon you're
Ruxin's
gonna
right.
pull something crazy.
You know what it is? I think for you, what's the 25th anniversary set coming out with all those retro packs? That's your set, George. You buy that, you're gonna pull God tier. I'm gonna probably buy a lot of that actually, to be honest. I might open I think I might open 2 and keep a third just for posterity. Because it's like the cards aren't cards that I'm gonna use, but it's just like I don't know, like I'm just like such a sucker for that Yu-Gi-Oh nostalgia. Like when they were like, "Yeah, open a pack of Invasion of Chaos," I was like, "Oh my god, yeah, I do want to do that." Like I don't know.
Roxanne, you mentioned George being due. He thought that was going to be the case with 10,000 Tracking.
Oh my god,
Oh
you'd
my
go
God.
plus forever. Oh
Yeah,
my
Wait,
god.
you've been pulling all commons since that set?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
It's been-
3 years ago.
So
Mhm.
Ruxin, do you remember when like Crossout Designator was supposed to be the second coming of Christ? Do you remember that?
I remember that.
So
Yeah.
so we bought a set, right? And we were like, okay, we all need like as a team of players, we all need 3 Crossout Designator. Mel pulled like 11. I pulled 2, and George pulled I think 0 somehow.
Yep. I pulled
And
my
like
playset.
Euro.
yeah. Oh, and Joe got 3. So Mel got like an abundance. I got 2. Joe got 3. And George pulled like 0 somehow. And I was like, dude, I don't understand like statistically how that is, but that's what happened. And it was
Oh my God.
I
it
think we
was
did the recent Megatins, the 2022 Megatins, right? Prior to, so we all ordered a case. The only card I needed out of that whole entire set was Prosperity. I just needed 3
Yeah.
Prosperities. If I got like a bump on on Ash, perfect. I'll take it. Mel and I, we went to Germany. I was like, you know what? The cases haven't came in yet. I'll take German cases. I'll take a German Prosperity. I don't care. Pulled it. I didn't get anything. Okay, fine. Came back to a case. We had a case each, and then we split the last one. I like sped opened all of my packs. Pulled no Prosperities.
It's true. He didn't pull any.
Not
Yeah.
everybody else,
Just
like 4.
just keep in mind, by the way, I had a set of the original because we also foolishly bought a set of Blazing Vortex.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
yeah, like one of the worst sets basically of all time besides Prosperity. And I had pulled a playset of Prosperity, and then when we bought the tins, I pulled like another playset of Prosperity, and I was like, I felt like kind of bad, and I was like, George, I'll give you the bro discount. Like we don't even have to do money. Like we can trade cards, but like it was remarkable. Truly some cursed shit. I don't understand.
I
But
remember that card being pretty rough to pull. I think I opened like 9 or 10 cases and I only got 4 total. So I remember
Jeez.
that one was
Oh
pretty rough.
my.
I kind of
That's-
got killed by that too.
yeah, but I mean, the problem with when I think of Blazing Vortex, so Rux, and you'll probably know better than me because you're a collector. When I think of Blazing Vortex, I think of 2 cards exactly that I care about. I think of Prosperity and then maybe Underworld Goddess, and that's literally it. I can't think of anything else.
I don't know if I've ever really opened any Blazing Vortex. Like
It's not a good set.
I've always looked at because I always look at the set list before I open anything. A guy
Yeah.
was
Mm.
trying to sell me those like when they announced the Prosperity reprint, and I was just like, I was like
No, no.
it was like they were like kind of cheap, but I was like, look, if they're gonna reprint Prosperity, like these need to be like really cheap for me to buy
Yeah.
these. They were not
Yeah,
cheap
yeah.
enough.
It's not a good set. It's
I
one of
mean,
those. It's one of the few sets that's just there's
they
just not
call
a
it
lot in it.
blazing dumpster fire. I'm pretty sure in a
Yeah,
loving way.
it's not good. It's and it's rare too because honestly, most sets have like a couple of bright spots. Blazing Vortex was it had, I mean, Prosperity was the real draw, and then like the fact that I can't remember anything else from it speaks for itself. I don't remember what else was in that set, and I opened a whole case of it.
I remember because it's one of 2 Starlights that I pulled. I pulled an Arm Dragon level 10 Starlight from it, and I was very happy about that.
Oh yeah, the arm drag. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they had
It had
Trishula
Oh,
too. That was the
Yep,
5th
yep.
Starlight.
Ooh,
Yes.
actually, honestly, a Starlight Trishula, that's kind of nice. I like
Yeah.
that.
Okay, I did open a case. Now I remember this was one of my first streams was opening a Blazing Vortex case.
Oof.
It was
Okay, yeah.
my first one was my second one was no, my first one was 10,000 Dragon.
Mhm.
Oh,
Ooh,
That was
very
and I was
nice.
like, I should probably stream open this because this is like kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That was
yeah,
when it
well,
all started.
Have you ever opened something just like on your own, like like I know sometimes like you'll just hold on to packs and just open them like on camera. But have you ever, I don't know, just went into like a Walmart or Target or something, picked up a couple of blisters, and you opened up and it was something crazy, and you're like, damn it, I wish I would have held this.
Yes. So back before I recorded my openings, I always told this. It's almost unbelievable. Like, because like, okay, so I'll just tell the story. So I used to go into Walmart's back in it was 2018. So it was like when I was into Yu-Gi-Oh! Like on Instagram and stuff, but I was not making YouTube videos about
Mm.
cards yet. So I would spend way too much money on blisters. I would go in there, I would buy everything they had for like the because they had those reprint blisters, kind of like they're reprinting
Yep.
right now,
Mhm.
25th, but they would have like the 10 cards behind them. So
Yes.
I would look for those everywhere. If they had them, I would buy all of them. They were like $8 each. So it was like you're getting scammed basically for $8
Yeah.
for those.
Yeah.
So I would buy all of them. One time I opened one and they give you 2 foils and 8 common cards. So
Mm.
I opened one and one of the foils was a ghost rare.
Oh my
Ooh.
God.
It was a ghost rare, a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon Unlimited, which at the time was $10. So it wasn't like
Mhm.
that insane, but I was just like it was my first ghost rare. I'd
Right.
never had one before. I was like, this card looks awesome. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is so cool. And then of course, like it's even more unbelievable because it's in the cards they just give to you. So it's
Yeah,
like normally
yeah.
that's just junk. And they gave me a ghost rare. I was like, no
Crazy.
way. And then of course, that was before I recorded everything. And now that whenever I open those, I'm like, I'm recording these just in case. Like
Yeah.
just in case there's another ghost rare because I remember it happening, but no one else has ever told me. Like I'm always like, if that's ever happened to you, let me know in the comments. Never seen a comment that
course.
somebody's actually had that. So I might have had the only ghost rare of all time that was given. It was
Oh,
probably an
for
accident.
sure. So
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, Ruxin, I've heard that like when you buy those packs at Walmart, I mean, we've all done that. I did that once, and a couple times actually, and I've heard that they're like weighted supposedly, so that the packs that you're getting are usually kind of bad. Is there any truth to that? Is that true?
No, especially on those those like legacy ones, people love to say it's like, yeah, these are definitely like they're like weighed or scaled or whatever. And it's just not true. It's because they have old ratios on those. So it's like really 1 in 4 that you're gonna get something. So they're already kind of terrible. And then like a lot of the super rares are bad anyway. So it's like it always feels like kind of bad opening those. You usually lose your money because you're paying $8. I already mentioned that, which is ridiculous to get those. And then just people tend to say like their way, just kind of like people say with those Konami like pre-release openings people do, like the sponsor, they're like, yeah, they gave them a good card for advertising. It's like it's the same thing. It's like if they ever pull something good, they assume it was like given to them and like all that stuff. It's like your experience. You go in there, you open 4 packs, you don't get anything. You're like, yeah, these are scaled 100%.
Right.
And like I've opened so many of them. Sometimes I'll pull like I'll open 10 packs and I'll pull like 8 foils, which is like absurd. And it's just like the law of like random blisters, basically. You can get 8 out of 10 or you can get 0 out of 10. I've seen some like I remember one guy on YouTube I watched pull like he opened like 20 of those. He pulled Blue Eyes, Dark Magician, Red Eyes, Exodia Head, like 3 or 4 pieces of Exodia, and then like Raigeki polymers. It was like every good card from Legend of Blue Eyes.
Yeah,
it's like the craziest opening ever. And I'm like, that's just because it's random stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like you could randomly get anything, you know, because it's not a booster box. There's no set ratios. They might when they pick these out of like random things that they got them from, they just happen to grab the foils, and that's just how it can happen sometimes. But people don't like to think like that. They're like, no, I got screwed, man. It's like I opened 12 packs and only got 3 foils, which is the ratio, but it felt bad because they were all super rares.
Yeah, sure. Oh yeah. Okay, I hear you. Yeah, I've just heard that before, so I was curious
But there
about
is
your
also
perspective.
there is also like people that actually legitimately like cut into blisters and like I don't know if you guys have ever had that happen. Like they'll go to Walmarts and they'll cut the bottom. This happened to me recently because I bought a collection from a guy, which he had bought them all from Walmart. So I'm opening them up and I realized like a few of them, not like all of them, but a few of them, the guy, not the guy, but probably somebody at Walmart had cut the bottom, pulled them out, taken out the rare, and put it back in there.
Oh wow, that's dirty.
So like there was 8 cards in all of them, and like they had sliced open the thing, and like you could see it on the bottom, but it's really hard to see at first if you're not looking for it. So some people do that. So that does happen.
Wow,
that's rough.
Damn. Oh my god. That is rough. It's cutthroat out there, man. I don't know. Like I buy sealed product pretty rarely at this point. Honestly, the only time I buy sealed product now is when I'm splitting with the boys here. Like we fucked up. We didn't buy a case of fucking Power of the Elements.
Oh,
and we and we should have bought. Oh man,
I mean, I feel like only you really needed the cards out of there. The
Power of the
the
Elements.
Hysteria. Yeah. Oh
No,
no,
I'm talking
power.
I'm talking about just not. No. So Photon Hypernova, yeah, but for Power of the Elements, we would have gone Mega Plus just because that set is ridiculous. And I remember we talked about it, and then we didn't do it, and I regret it because we like and you know what's coming up on the horizon. So there's Photon Hypernova, and then there's I guess what Cybernetic. I can't remember the name. Cybernetic something. It's coming up. It's coming up after
a bit.
It's not for a bit. Yeah.
You want to go on the Trap Trick Structure deck?
No, no, absolutely not.
You might get something you might not expect. You know.
I don't care for it.
Rexon, would you say your crown jewel of a card is your 2018 Hyper Evolution Super Saiyan 4 Son Goku PSA 10?
Oh my god.
I don't have that card anymore. That was like in my first grading video, I think.
That was your first PSA return, I believe.
Yeah. It was 2 Dragon Ball cards, and I sent them with a friend of mine. I didn't even send them myself. And I remember, I got a 10 on one. I don't remember when I sold it. It was so long ago. Like I sold that it was probably before I even had a YouTube channel. Well, no, I guess I posted on YouTube, didn't I? So so it was sometime a long time ago. I don't know.
That's fair.
How would you say the PSA community has progressed over time? I feel like, I mean, I don't think any of us, aside from you in here, have much experience with PSA.
It's PSA is interesting because I was into it probably I was in 2018. a bunch of people I knew were grading because they were like collectors and stuff. And I was like, grading's dumb. I don't need to grade. And then like a year later, I was like, you know what? I'll give it a try. And then I was like, okay, that was pretty fun. I'll probably do that again. And so like I've been doing it since 2019, basically. So I was about a year ahead of like the craziness at PSA.
Right.
So I got to experience it, you know, in its purest form, just grading for fun. You know, you got a little bit of value back in terms of the value of the cards, but it wasn't insane. And then 2020 happens, and like it's impossible to grade anything. I waited from 2020 to 2022 for like a bunch of my subs. So it was a weird time. I think now it's actually very normal. It's like it's very close to what it was. It's more expensive than then. It was like $7 back then if you had the bulk. Now it's like 18 and sometimes 15, which is quite a bit more, but it's at least reasonable. Like back in, you know, during the COVID times, they didn't even have bulk options. So you had to spend at least, I think, $100 or something per card.
Oh my
So it's like
God.
you basically couldn't grade anything unless it was like super high value and like really minty. Now you can at least grade stuff that it's like it's a $20 card or a $5 card, and you know, whatever happens. You only lose $15 if it's a bad grade or whatever.
Right.
So I think it's definitely normalized, and I appreciate it a lot more because I was able to submit 120 cards and get them back in like 2 or 3 months versus 27 months or whatever it was the first time.
God, even 2 months is a lot for me.
Yeah, well, that's the cheap rate. That's the rate. You can send it faster, like at $50 or whatever, and it goes way faster than that. But
yeah, I mean, it got pretty crazy with during 2020. There was let's just say a lot of people had a lot of free time, and
people suddenly remembered they and their parents had basements, and there was stuff in those basements.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, it was cool in terms of like the way that like the trading card community like really flourished, but it was also not like I feel bad for PSA because they were kind of like all of a sudden I mean, I don't know, their demand must have shot up like 2,000%. It was crazy. And there was no way that they could have handled that, you know?
Yeah, it was just a bad situation. And yeah, the whole 2020 thing was really cool in some ways. In some ways, I'm really glad it's over. You know,
Yeah.
It's like some of those prices just got like absurd. Like
Don't we
for
all?
me buying old stuff, it was like, wow, am I really going to spend like $5,000 on this box that was like $1,000 last year? It's like,
yeah.
You
know,
it's kind of rough.
And the funny thing is, as a player, like, you know, someone who plays Yu-Gi-Oh, I didn't really pay attention to prices on the market too much because when did we start playing? We started playing around 2019. So 2019, pretty new, just learning the ropes after having not played for a while, learning basically like what are hand traps, like basic things. And then 2020 rolls around, and a bunch of things happen, and all of a sudden a lot of people are spending time online thinking about trading cards. And I'm like, okay, well, I just learned how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I just got back into the game. And suddenly everything is more expensive than I thought it would be. And from what I've gathered, prices for cards spiked during 2020 because people had a little bit more disposable income and a little bit more free time, and they never really went back down. From what I've gathered, that's what people told me. That's what I've heard from people who played any trading card game basically pre 2020, post and then post 2020. That it never really went back down.
So some of the like a lot of the collector prices have gone down. I don't know how it works for like I don't know what like meta prices were back in like 2019 or whatever because I back then I really didn't care about like anything remotely. I didn't even open new sets until 2020. So I didn't really follow those, but in terms of like the collector PSA and stuff like that, those have come down in the last few months quite a bit because like they were extremely high in late 20, probably mid 2021, late 2021, and they've gotten a lot more reasonable recently. Kind of not back to 2019, which was like you could buy like PSA 10s of like Metal Raiders cards, like ultra rares for like $300. And these days they're probably like 1,200, something like that. So there's still a lot more, but like during the hype, they were 5K, and like Summon Skull was like $6,000.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So
yeah,
like
for sure.
it's come down from that. I don't know. Some things I think overall the market has definitely gone up because even though a lot of people aren't into the card thing, they were in it for like 2020 and 2021, and they've dropped back out. I think on average, there's still a lot more players and collectors now than there was in 2019.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
I know that like at one point Pokemon was like huge, and recently I've seen that you've also started opening up cards on your channel. What is there any reason why you decided, I guess, to like start opening Pokemon?
So I used to be into Pokemon. When I got back into cards in 2018, I was into both Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! But then I ended up deciding to go more toward Yu-Gi-Oh! Because at that time I really didn't have a ton of money to spend on that stuff. And like, so I just kind of had to pick one, and I decided I liked Yu-Gi-Oh! More, which I kind of always have. But I recently revisited Pokemon because the new set looked cool, and uh, where I can get like product from like had some, and I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. Like this set looks pretty cool, and I've always been a fan of like watching Pokemon stuff. So when I had the opportunity to open up some new, and I've been doing more Twitch streams, so I was like, this would be good like Twitch content. Like even though it's not like if I post on my regular channel, people are probably like, what is this? This isn't Yu-Gi-Oh. But if I do Twitch, it's like it's all good. It's live. People are
Yeah.
happy when it's live. When it's like a upload, they're like, it better be Yu-Gi-Oh! Or we're gonna riot or something.
You
No,
know what? When
yeah.
you opened up the Crown, was it Crown Zenith?
Yeah.
Yeah, the very next day, me and my brother went out and got two of the elite trainer boxes. So it was very weird for me at first because with Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm used to, you get a booster box, right? And I thought that
Yeah.
for the most part Pokemon was the same way, but they were like, well, no, we don't have booster boxes of this. We have trainer boxes, and I was like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And like there's like 10 packs, I think, per trainer box. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow,
They
that just sounds like a very little bit of packs, like for like what a box would be for Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, they do so they have special sets that they do that. So almost every set has a booster box in Pokemon, but they also have these special sets, which Crown Zenith is one of them. And basically, Yu-Gi-Oh used to have a product like this. I did a video recently called the Forgotten Yu-Gi-Oh product, and it was about the Yu-Gi-Oh version of these Elite Trainer boxes. We did them in the Zexal era, and it was stuff like I don't remember exactly the set. I think it might have been like Cosmo Blazer or something like that. One of those sets. We had the exact same packaging where you have that what do you call these things? They're like card holders, but they have like a top to them. I don't even know. But they had one, and there was like eight packs in there. There was like a promo card, there's like dice, I think. And so it was kind of the same thing that Pokemon does now, but Yu-Gi-Oh did it for like a couple of sets and then they stopped. Pokemon does it and gives like they do give 10 packs in this one, I think it was. And they kind of have like stuff to help play. They got this what is it? It's like a guide to this full set. So they have like a full set guide. And they're about usually like 50 or $40. The full, but that's like sounds like a lot because like in Yu-Gi-Oh, you can usually get a box for like $60.
Right.
But a Pokemon box is like 100 and something because like they have like 36 packs, and like I think the MSRP on one pack is a little bit more than a Yu-Gi-Oh pack because they get like 11 cards or something. So it's kind of a thing that Pokemon does on their special sets, but they're always really good sets when they do those special sets. It feels like they did like you guys probably heard about like Hidden and Shining Fates, those two sets.
Yes.
Everyone was like super hyped about those. I think those were also these specific sets where they don't do booster boxes.
Interesting. I from that set I pulled a Leafeon V-Star.
Oh yeah.
And I was telling Mel, I was like, I love the artwork on Pokemon cards. I wish that Yu-Gi-Oh would adapt the full artwork on certain like chase cards, and then also have like just regular artwork, and then one would be, I guess, more accessible to players, and the other one would be kind of like the chase for collectors, and then players that want to play the high rarity card, almost like, I guess, like Starlight versus just like the a regular secret rare. But
Right.
I love the full art that Pokemon does.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this just like when we were talking before like we actually started the podcast, but the I think the full art, I actually said that I don't actually care if we do a full art or not. I know a lot of people like really, really want that. I think that it would be cool. I also think that Yu-Gi-Oh has a lot of options with their same style. Like I think the Starlights are really cool. I know when they first came out, people were like, these look fake, they look weird. Right. I think they've really grown on people for the most part. But I think we have a lot more room to work with those. But if we did do something like that with the full arts, I think that'd be pretty cool to have like what you could have like a regular version, like you said, and then like the full art version, and it's like what more of a high like rarity chase, like kind of like the Starlight. So like one in a case or one every 2 cases, you get one of those
Mm.
full arts. That could be pretty awesome. But I think it becomes a slippery slope with those, just like Pokemon. It used to be so hard to get those full arts. Now it's like you're getting a full art like every other pack almost at this point, because they have like full arts and they have alternate full arts, and then they have V cards, V maxes, V stars. There's like so many different ones, which I don't, not necessarily a problem. It is just a thing that ends up happening because you have to one up the next thing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
Yeah,
kind of already happened with Yu-Gi-Oh too, though, because back in the day, not every pack had like an ultra rare or,
Yeah.
a super rare. It's like ultra rare was pretty rare, and then the
Right.
secret rare was. When did they even introduce secret rares? That's probably
Well, we did have secret rares at the beginning,
Yeah,
but it was only like, it was only 2%. And as I was talking about earlier with the hobby retail, it was just one secret in the whole
right.
per box. So, and not even per box, it was one every few boxes. So really getting an ultra was like your best pull out of the box usually, unless you
Right.
got the secret rare.
Now there's junk secret rares, which is
Yeah. Now half the secret rares are garbage. You're just looking for, or you open up and you get like your best cards are super rares. They're like you get the yeah,
Steals.
you're getting some great super rares and great ultras, but your secrets are terrible for some reason.
Yeah.
It's just based on what they think will be super good, I think.
Yeah.
Related to what you were talking about with Starlights earlier, I'm glad we circled back around it, because the first time I pulled a Starlight, I didn't know that it was a Starlight. I pulled, my brother got me a box of Rising Rampage, and I pulled a Marincess Seahorse as a Starlight, and I was like, this card looks way different, and I'm not sure why. And then I happened to pull an Ultra Marincess Seahorse, and I was like, I sent a text to these guys like, does this look different to y'all? Did I get like scammed? And then I go on TCG Player and I see it and I'm like, oh, this is a whole different rarity. And I think Nick said, quote, bro, did you just pull like $150 card?
Yeah,
You're like,
dude.
what is this?
I was like, this looks so different. I think we had just gotten back into it, and I was like, I don't know what a Marincess is, but this looks way different. But that was when you brought up the two IPs, I was like, I thought mine was an error, and I was like, my brother bought me this, and it was for Christmas, and I feel really bad because it would be like, sorry, bro, you got gypped. But
we had a lot to learn coming back.
We did
so much. The game had changed so much.
Yep.
So much.
I wish I was opening a lot of packs back then, because all the original Starlights are pretty insane right now.
Yeah.
But I would open like Walmart packs that set. I've never pulled a Starlight out of Rising Rampage. So one day I would like to. I opened a case of blisters one time that I was able to get for like kind of a normal price, surprisingly, at one point. And I didn't get one. So I was like, oh man. So Apollosa is avoiding me, but one day.
Oh yeah, one day.
Speaking of that, actually, is there any cards that have like a target on their back? Because you like to collect stuff, so I'm sure there's some stuff that you want to have.
Some of the stuff that I'm specifically collecting is a lot of it revolves around. So for my raw collection, not graded, I am doing a collection of. I don't ever know how to say this, but this set back when they used to do the cover card, not always the cover card, but usually the cover card would be Ghost, Ultimate, and Secret, or Ghost, Ultimate, and Ultra. It just depends on which one. I'm collecting all of those. So I think they started in whenever the Ghost came out in Tactical Evolution, I believe. So you could get a Ghost Rare, Rainbow Dragon. Then there was the Secret Rare, but they didn't have the Ultra version yet. I think at Zexal they added where it was like there was 3 versions. So you'd pull like, let's say Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon from what is that set called? The one with all the dragon rulers, whatever that set's called. That has like the Ghost Rare version, the Ultimate Rare version, and it also has a Secret Rare version. So I'm collecting all 3 in First Ed and in Unlimited. So I'm trying to get 6 versions of the same card for every time they did that. So I have a binder that I slowly have been adding to, like, and I'm trying to make them all near mint. I'm not going mint. I'm not going to go crazy, but I want them all to be near mint. So I've slowly been putting that binder together, but it's a lot of cards, and it's like some of them are kind of weird to find. Like, I could just buy a lot of them for like, cause like stuff like Mobius, the Mega Monarch, that's just kind of a weird one that nobody cares about. I could just buy it. It's not very expensive, but I don't really want to. I want to either get it in a collection that I buy or like pull it. So anytime I pull one, I try to add it in, like in the video that I'm adding it and stuff like that.
Right.
Ruts, I have a question. I usually we usually like to play a game with when we have guests on. And I think the perfect question to ask you is, let's say you were to buy a pack, random pack, right? And it turns out to be a god pack. What cards would they have to be in order to like fulfill that for you to be like, this was a god pack? Could be any set, it could be any, you know, any set, any cards, but it all comes from one booster pack.
So are you by god pack, you mean like a legitimate pack, like without an error or something like that? Or could like
you could pick
you
any
mean like a
card,
god pack, like where I pull 5 secret rares or what?
5 secret rares, whatever. Like, well, I guess what I'm trying to ask you is, how many cards come in a pack? 7, right?
9, I think usually.
9.
Well, 7 in
9.
collector rare sets, I think.
Yeah, so 9 cards, right? You just open up a random pack. Konami made this huge error, and in that booster pack, it was 9 cards that you absolutely love. You want to see first ed, and they go right into your collection. What would they be?
Well, I have a story about this. Okay, so first of all, I would say anything that's an error pack is great for me because I could put error opening in the title, so that's always good. Secondly, I have a friend who, this has not been recorded, so it's based on his word and everything, but it's a guy that I've trusted. This was a really long time ago. It was back before I did YouTube and stuff, but he bought I don't know the exact tin, but it was a 2008 tin, one that had the Duelist Genesis packs, first edition in there. So Duelist Genesis never had booster boxes, kind of like those Pokemon things. Never first edition booster boxes, I should say. The unlimited boxes and then first ed packs were in the tins and pre-release stuff like that. That's the only place you could get first ed Duelist Genesis. So he bought a couple of tins so that he could open first ed Duelist Genesis, because obviously you want to pull the Ghost Rare Stardust Dragon first ed because it's extremely awesome. It's iconic from the anime. It's expensive. It's got all those good things to it. I always want to say it's the first Ghost Rare. It's not. It's the first from 5Ds, but he opened 1 tin, so 2 packs of first ed Duelist Genesis. The first pack had a Ghost Rare Stardust.
Oh my god!
I don't actually remember the order this came in, so I'm just going to tell it in this order. He pulls the Ghost Rare Stardust. He opens the next pack. It has 2 first ed Ghost Rare Stardust.
Oh my god!
Nah.
And now, like, it sounds unbelievable, but he did own 3 Ghost Rare first ed Stardust, and he graded them, and they were like 110 and 2 9s. So they were in mint condition quality. So he either just randomly had those, or he was telling the truth, and I'm pretty sure he was telling the truth. So he got some kind of crazy Ghost Rare error. So if I were to pull like a crazy error pack, I would love to have one of those 2 Ghost Rare Stardust packs. I'm just saying.
Or 9 Appaloosas.
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't? Honestly.
Yeah. I'm a big Ghost Rare fan. I mean, Starlights, I think, are getting close because I think the Ghost Rares are getting worse for me. Like the newer ones don't look as good as the old ones. And then the Starlights are growing on me. I really like them. So if you compare to like if I had to pick between Starlight and new Ghost Rare, I'd pick Starlight. If I had to pick Starlight and old Ghost Rare, like Stardust Dragon looking Ghost Rare, I would pick Ghost. So it's kind of in the middle for me right now.
Yeah. Old Ghost Rares are nice. Like if I could have any, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm like sure I'm right, but maybe I'm wrong. If I could have any old Ghost Rare, Ancient Fairy Dragon Ghost Rare. That's a Ghost Rare, right?
Yes. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I would be.
That was in the era when they looked great. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like an old Ghost Rare, and the art is pretty to begin with. Man, that would be fantastic. I would love that.
Starlights looks like too funny to me. I was in a Master Duel stream and somebody asked like, what's a Starlight Rare? And my response was, do you know when you were younger and you got like a Yu-Gi-Oh sticker that was way too shiny? That's what a Starlight Rare is.
Yeah, I don't really like I'm gonna be honest. For me, when I think of like high rarity cards, Ultimate Rares are my top. Second is Ghost Rares, and then third is I don't like Starlights that much, honestly. I don't know. I like
also
Ultimate,
just saying that so I can pull one.
Yeah,
say,
there's just
I don't want a Starlight, and then the next box.
And then so then hopefully you get one. That's fair. I I just ultimate rares. There's something about ultimate rares. The embossing on them is really nice.
Well, there's some ultis that are awesome. I think for the most part, ultis are, I would say, probably the top rarity in terms of like if you polled people and asked their favorite rarity, they'd probably say ultimate rare. And I also still, it's like, it's not because I don't like ultimate rares. I just like those other two rarities more. But I really, there isn't like a high, the only high rarity that I don't love really is collector rare. And that's just because they're so inconsistent with it. I think some collector rares, it feels like some sets they go really hard and make them look great. Like weirdly, Ancient Guardians collector rares look great, and it's like a terrible set, but they look really good. But then if you like look at like Toon Chaos, the first one, and they're like kind of boring. And I feel like the last one, I think like the most recent collector rare set, it felt like they went backwards, like more toward the subtle look, which it's fine, but I don't really, I'm not like, yeah, collector rare. You know, I really hope that this gets a collector rare. It's like, I'd rather them have something else.
No, I 100% agree with you. Some collectors rare, like I have a collector rare, like Insector Dragonfly, and it's fine, but it's not, doesn't really pop. It's like whatever. Like I think I opened it and I didn't even fucking realize, and then Mel was like, "No, that's a collector's," and I was like, "Really? Oh yeah, you're right." Like I didn't even notice.
Yeah, those are really frustrating for multiple reasons. One, because like it's hard to see them, and then whenever I stream them, I'm always looking for a specific collector rare, and then I pull a million of the regular rare, and everyone thinks that's the collector rare that I'm looking for, and they're like, "You just pulled one. What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because they look exactly the same. Can we like change them up somehow? You know, and not have a million copies of regular rares in the same set?"
That
Have
was
you
Yep.
have you had that happen, like where you pull something that's amazing but you just don't realize it?
I've never had like a high rarity card. So I remember one of my earliest videos, I opened and pulled a super rare out of Spell Ruler reprint, and then I didn't even realize I pulled it. I was like, for some reason, I was in a really bad mood in that video. I don't remember why, but like, I was like, oh man, this is terrible. Probably because I went to Walmart and spent like $100 on 9 blister packs and got nothing. So, and then somebody's like, you know, you pulled a hollow in that, right? I'm like, oh, and then recently the same thing happened. It hadn't happened in forever. I was opening whatever set has Karakuri Cash Shed. I don't, it's some random like 5D set or something.
Yeah.
I pulled one as a super, and it was in the video where I do, if I pull a foil, I open another pack, like a legacy pack. And so I was like, it was the last pack. And I was like, oh, we didn't pull one. That's the end of the video. And I did pull a super rare. So I was supposed to keep going. People were like, you pulled a foil in the last pack. I was like, what do you mean? Oh, that is a foil, isn't it?
You're like, in the top comment, I'm sorry I missed it. It doesn't look like one.
Honestly, like most people didn't notice because like I rewatched the video. I'm like, you can't even tell it's a foil. It was like, I think these people just knew it was a super rare off the top of their head. They're like, hey, by the way, that was a super. And I was like, I watched it back. I'm like, I can't even tell that's a super. So I had to look it up on TCG Player. I'm like, yep, that's a super.
Oh my goodness, that's rough. We are coming close to time. So Roxanne, we wanted to give you the floor. Any plugs, any promos, anything that you want to promote? The space is yours.
Well, thank you guys for having me. It's been a good time. I always like just chatting about random stuff about Yu-Gi-Oh. It's always fun. So you guys can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. It's all at Ruxin34. So if you want to check it out, thank you guys again. I've had a great time so far.
Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you all for listening. Oh, go ahead, George.
Before we finish up, I'm sorry. I just kind of want to like dwell a little bit more. When we were in France, me and Mel had a battle off, right? I bought a box.
It was a Megaton.
You had the Megaton. I had no wait. Yes, it was a Megaton. I lost against your Megaton, and then I bought a booster box of the Battle of Legends, and you had 5 packs.
5 packs, yeah.
He beat me with those 5 packs versus an entire booster box, just to kind of like give you an idea of how bad my luck is.
Well, that sounds like my pack battle luck is very similar. Like I've battled Rhyme Style probably 15 times and I've never beaten him. So the first like 7 or 8 battles I did with people, they pulled, not only did they beat me, like they pulled like the absolute best card. Like one of my first ones with Rhyme Style, he pulled the 10K Dragon out of like a booster box.
Oh my god.
I had one guy pull 2 ghost rares in the same video against me. Then that same guy pulled another ghost rare the next time. So like there was at one point, I think I had done like 7 battles and they had pulled 8 cards that were either Ghost Rare or Starlight Rare in
Oh my
7
God.
videos. And they were opening like 20 packs of like every time. It was like the most unreal, like reverse terrible luck for me, but great luck for them. So Prime Style always says, whenever you guys want to pull something, you just challenge Rux into a box battle and you'll pull whatever you want. So maybe that's how we break your bad luck. You just challenge me.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, I'm laying down the challenge. I need to get rid of this bad luck.
That's how we fix it.
I remember in that pack battle, we went pack for pack with the Megatons, and you pulled Dragoon, and we're really happy, and you're like, "Oh my god, I finally beat him!" And I pulled Droplet the next pack.
Yeah.
Well, you can drop a Dragoon.
That is, we also have that recorded. Like our significant others recorded it, and you just see the happiness flee George's face immediately.
You got a good card.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It was a sad time. And then when he pulled a access code from,
oh yeah,
I was like, yeah, that's it. That's over. And then I just lost. I lost.
Yeah.
So I guess next time I pack battle anybody, it's gonna be Rux, and hopefully one of the curse of one of us is gonna be lifted, either mine or yours.
No, what's gonna happen is Ruxin's gonna pull the God pack you just asked him about.
Yeah, you could get double cursed. Honestly,
he's gonna pull cards that aren't even in the set, like 6 Ghost Rares that aren't even in the set, another Starlight, and you're gonna be like pulling all commons.
Bull.
Well, we appreciate having Roxanne on, and we appreciate you all listening to us. We're going to wrap it up here. This is Heart of the Podcast with MSTC. I'm Mel.
George here.
And Joseph.
I'm Nick.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.